My chosen one, what I am about to reveal has been sealed in silence for a long time. I, Archangel Michael, have been hiding a secret from you. Today, you are seeing this because God has finally allowed me to reveal it. The person you trust the most did something behind your back. Beloved, please open this, because if you don't, this message will burn and vanish within 50 seconds. This is not coincidence. This is not an accident in your scrolling. Heaven timed this moment with precision. There was a restriction placed on this revelation. I was commanded to wait. I was told, not yet. They are not ready. But today, the restriction has been lifted, and you feel it. There has been a strange heaviness in your spirit lately. A subtle shift in energy when you enter a room. A hesitation in someone's voice when they speak to you. You brushed it off. You told yourself you were overthinking. You convinced yourself that loyalty still stands where betrayal quietly grew. But heaven sees what you cannot. I stand as a warrior of truth. I do not come to create fear. I come to uncover what hath been hidden in the dark corridors of your trust. The person you hold closest, the one whose words you accepted without question, has been moving in silence. Your actions have not matched their smile. Listen carefully. This is not about dramatic betrayal. It is not about chaos or destruction. It is about subtle decisions made without you. Conversations held in rooms where your name was spoken, but your presence was missing. Agreements formed while you believed everything was secure. You sensed it once. A flicker of doubt crossed your mind, but you dismissed it because your heart is pure, and purity often assumes the same in others. God allowed me to speak now because the consequences of silence would cost you more than the discomfort of truth. There was a moment recently, think back, a conversation that ended too quickly, a message that felt incomplete, a plan that changed without explanation. That was not random. That was the ripple of something done behind your back. Do not panic. This revelation is not meant to break you. It is meant to protect you. I have been assigned to guard your destiny. And when someone interferes with your path, even subtly, I am permitted to step in. But divine order required patience. Timing matters in spiritual battles. Exposure before readiness can cause greater harm. Now you are ready. The secret I held was not just about their action. It was about your growth. You needed to see who remains steady when you rise. Because something is shifting in your life. Elevation is near. Opportunities are forming. Doors are aligning. And not everyone connected to you is prepared to see you ascend. The act done behind your back was motivated by insecurity, not hatred. By fear, not courage. They sensed your expansion. They saw your potential before you fully believed it yourself. And instead of celebrating you, they tried to secure their own position. Small decisions, quiet influence, subtle redirection. They believed you would never notice. But heaven noticed. I have watched every whisper. I have weighed every intention. And I tell you now, nothing hath been strong enough to cancel what God has written for you. Still, awareness is power. You must begin to observe, not accuse. Listen more than you speak. Notice patterns. Pay attention to who discourages your next step and who supports it. There is wisdom in silence. There is protection in discernment. Do not confront in anger. Do not expose prematurely. Truth has its own timing. What matters most is this. Your trust must shift upward. Too much of your emotional security has been placed in human hands. And humans, no matter how close, can falter. I, Archangel Michael, do not reveal this to separate you from everyone. I reveal this to realign your trust with God first. Because here is the deeper secret: the act done behind your back was allowed. Not approved, but allowed. Allowed to reveal who truly stands with you when pressure rises. Allowed to teach you spiritual awareness. Allowed to detach you gently from blind dependence. If you had not seen this today, you would have continued giving access to someone who quietly adjusted your path. And your destiny cannot afford silent adjustments. You are stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion. Where hidden motives surface without you chasing, though. Where protection operates before harm reaches you. That is why this message had to reach you before the window closed. You may feel a mix of emotions right now. Shock, sadness, disbelief. That is normal. But breathe. Nothing has been stolen from you. Nothing hath been destroyed. In fact, this exposure is proof of divine covering. When truth surfaces, it is not loss, it is liberation. The one you trust most may not be entirely who you believe. But this does not mean you are alone. It means your circle is being refined. That refinement is preparation for elevation. I have been guarding this revelation carefully. If released too early, you would have reacted emotionally. If released too late, you would have suffered unnecessary delay. Today is precise. Watch what unfolds in the next few days. Subtle confirmations will appear. Words will slip. Actions will reveal. Patterns will become undeniable. When they do, remember this moment. You were warned with love. You were informed with protection. And you were chosen to know because your destiny matters too much to remain in the dark. This is only the beginning of what heaven is uncovering for you. Beloved soul, now that the veil has been lifted slightly, you must prepare yourself for what comes next. The revelation I began to unfold is not meant to leave you in confusion. It is meant to sharpen your discernment. When I said the person you trust the most did something behind your back, I was not speaking to stir suspicion in your heart. I was speaking to awaken your spiritual sight. There is a difference between paranoia and perception. Heaven is not teaching you fear. Heaven is training you to see clearly. In the coming days, you will notice a shift in how this person behaves around you. It will not be dramatic. It will be subtle. Their tone may change when certain topics arise. They may avoid eye contact when you mention future plans. They might suddenly become overly supportive in a way that feels rehearsed. Do not ignore these signs. They are not accidents. They are confirmations. I, Archangel Michael, stand as a guardian over your path. My duty is not only to fight visible battles, but also to reveal hidden strategies. What was done behind your back involved the influence. Words were spoken about your decisions. Opinions were planted into other minds. Doubt was introduced quietly, without your knowledge. And all of it was done under the assumption that you would remain unaware. But God does not allow His chosen to walk blindly forever. There is something rising inside you right now. A sense that you deserve clarity. That inner stirring is not anger. It is awakening. You are beginning to realize that trust must be aligned with truth, not just history. Just because someone hath been with you for a long time does not mean they are meant to walk with you into the next season. The act that took place behind your back was small in appearance but significant in impact. A recommendation was altered. A detail was withheld. An opportunity may have been slightly redirected. It did not destroy your path, but it attempted to delay it. And delay, if unnoticed, can become detour. Hear me carefully. Nothing about your destiny has been cancelled. Heaven has already corrected what was shifted. What was delayed is being restored. What was whispered against you has been overruled. But now you must participate in your own protection by becoming more observant. Watch how they react when you succeed. Watch how they respond when others praise you. Pay attention to whether they celebrate your progress or subtly minimize it. Jealousy rarely announces itself loudly. It disguises itself as concern, advice, or even humor. But your spirit will feel the difference. You may be tempted to confront immediately. Resist that urge. Timing matters. Let the evidence unfold naturally. Truth is most powerful when it reveals itself without force. If you confront too early, they will deny, deflect, and distract. If you wait, their own actions will speak louder than your accusations. There is another layer you must understand. This exposure is not only about them. It is about strengthening you. God is elevating you into spaces where discernment is essential. If you cannot detect subtle betrayal now, how will you navigate greater influence later? This lesson is preparation. And as you process this message, I ask you to do something important. Engage with this revelation. Do not keep it to yourself silently. If this resonates with your spirit, let your voice be part of this awakening. Like this message so that more souls who are walking through silent betrayal can find clarity. Share it with someone who needs confirmation. Write in the comments what your spirit is feeling as you hear these words. When you subscribe and stand with this mission, you are aligning yourself with continued spiritual insight. Become part of this community that seeks truth and refuses deception. There is power when believers unite in awareness. And now listen closely. The person who acted behind your back does not fully realize that heaven has intervened. They believe their actions remain hidden. That illusion will not last long. Exposure does not always come through dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it comes through simple revelation of character. You will begin to see inconsistencies you overlooked before. Conversations that once seemed normal will now reveal hidden tones. Patterns will become undeniable. And when that moment of clarity arrives, do not react with vengeance. React with wisdom. Forgiveness does not mean continued access. Love does not mean unlimited trust. You can release resentment while also redefining boundaries. That is maturity. That is strength. I am not here to isolate you. I am here to protect you from misplaced loyalty. The season ahead requires clarity of heart and strength of mind. You cannot carry hidden tension into the place God is preparing for you. Something significant is approaching. A door you have prayed for. A shift you have long awaited. And this exposure is clearing the path before you step into it. Stay attentive. Stay calm. And above all, stay aligned with God, not with assumptions. Because what is about to unfold next will confirm everything I have just revealed. Hold on to this truth. The deeper layer is about to surface, and you will understand why this had to happen now. My precious one, what you are about to understand now is the layer that was hidden even from your own awareness. You have been focused on what was done behind your back, but you have not yet asked the deeper question, why now? Why would God allow this truth to surface at this exact moment in your life? The answer is more powerful than you think. This exposure is not only about revealing someone else's actions. It is about announcing your transition into a higher level of destiny. I, Archangel Michael, have stood in battles you never saw. While you were sleeping, prayers were being answered. While you were doubting yourself, decisions were being made in the spiritual realm to advance you. And when advancement begins, hidden resistance is always uncovered. The person you trust most sensed your shift before you did. They noticed your confidence growing. They saw doors opening around you. They heard opportunities being mentioned in your conversations. And instead of feeling secure, something inside them felt threatened. Not because you harmed them, but because your light began to outshine their comfort zone. Understand this clearly. When God prepares to elevate you, He first removes silent anchors. Anchors are not always enemies. Sometimes they are familiar voices that have grown too comfortable with your smaller version. The act done behind your back was an attempt to preserve familiarity. They were trying to keep you within the limits they understood. But heaven has removed the limit. There was a decision recently that almost shifted the direction of your progress. A recommendation that nearly closed a door. A conversation that almost redefined your image. You may not have known it, but I intervene. What was meant to quietly reduce your influence was overturned. What was meant to slow you down was exposed before it could root deeply. This is why you are seeing this now. The secret I carried was heavy, because I knew it would challenge your heart. You are loyal. You are compassionate. You defend those you love. And that is beautiful. What loyalty without discernment becomes vulnerability. Compassion without awareness becomes exploitation. This is not to harden you. It is to refine you. As you step into this next phase, you will notice something unusual. The same person who acted behind your back may begin to show subtle signs of guilt. They may overcompensate. They may try to insert themselves more forcefully into your plans. Or they may distance themselves, sensing that you are becoming aware. Do not chase. Do not cling. Do not accuse without confirmation. Instead, observe peacefully. God is allowing the truth to surface in a way that strengthens you, not destroys your trust in humanity. There are still loyal souls in your life. There are still divine connections waiting to align with you. But first, your circle must be purified. And here is the deeper mystery. The betrayal was small compared to the blessing that is coming. The enemy always reacts before breakthrough. Resistance increases when elevation is near. That discomfort you have felt recently was not a sign of loss. It was the pressure of promotion. I tell you now with certainty, your path is being cleared. Within a short time, you will receive confirmation that you were protected. A message. An opportunity. A shift in atmosphere. Something will align so perfectly that you will realize the attempted delay had no power over your destiny. When that moment comes, do not respond with pride. Respond with gratitude. Because this was not your strength alone. It was divine covering. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, do not ignore the stirring in your heart. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 3149 has just been activated over your life. Now hear this final truth for this moment. Forgiveness will free you faster than resentment. But forgiveness does not require ignorance. You can forgive and still redefine access. You can love and still create boundaries. You can move forward without carrying bitterness. I, Archangel Michael, declare over you that what was hidden is now powerless. What was whispered against you is now reversed. What was done behind your back is being turned into fuel for your rise. The next season of your life will not be built on blind trust. It will be built on wisdom, strength, and divine alignment. And as this revelation settles into your spirit, know that you are not alone in this journey. When you sow into this mission, you are helping light reach other hearts that are walking through silent battles just like yours. Scripture declares that when you sow generously, you will also reap generously, and this is not a distant promise, but a living word spoken over you now. When you release your support through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are becoming a vessel through which truth flows like a river to countless souls. I hear your heart saying, I want to be part of something that carries God's light, and this is your moment to act. Do not hesitate when heaven prompts you. Your giving is a prophetic seed, and I declare that every seed you sow will return with protection, favor, and open doors. Stand with this mission boldly and release your support today. Faithful heart, now you must prepare for the internal shift that follows external revelation. You have heard what was hidden. You have sensed the confirmation rising within you. But what happens next is not about them. It is about you. Because whenever truth is revealed, the real transformation begins inside the one who receives it. I, Archangel Michael, am not only assigned to expose what was done behind your back. I am assigned to strengthen your spirit so that betrayal does not turn into bitterness. There is a thin line between awareness and resentment, and heaven desires you to walk in awareness without losing your softness. You may have noticed something unusual since hearing this message. Your mind keeps replaying past conversations. You are connecting dots you once ignored. Moments that seemed harmless now appear different. Words that once felt supportive now sound calculated. This is not paranoia. This is clarity arriving. But clarity can feel uncomfortable, because it forces you to admit that you trusted someone beyond what they had earned. It forces you to accept that your heart was open in places where caution was needed. And sometimes, the most painful part is not what they did, but realizing you sensed it and ignored it. Release that guilt now. You were not foolish. You were faithful. You were not blind. You were hopeful. There is no shame in believing the best about someone. The only mistake would be refusing to learn from what has now been revealed. The act done behind your back created a subtle energetic imbalance between you and that person. Even before you consciously knew what happened, your spirit felt the shift. That unexplained tension when you spoke to them. That slight hesitation before sharing new ideas. That instinct to hold back certain plan. Your spirit was protecting you before your mind understood why. Now that the truth is surfacing, you must decide how you will carry yourself moving forward. This is where many people fail. They allow betrayal to harden them. They close off completely. They begin suspecting everyone. They withdraw from new connections. That is not your path. Your path is refinement, not isolation. I, Archangel Michael, have fought wars where trust was broken and restored. And I tell you this, the strength of a soul is measured not by how it avoids hurt, but by how it rises without losing its light. In the days ahead, you may feel a subtle emotional distance forming between you and this person. That is natural. Do not force closeness to maintain comfort. Let the space reveal truth. Distance has a way of exposing intentions. If they value you genuinely, they will seek reconciliation with honesty. If they were only protecting their own position, their effort will fade. Watch what they prioritize when you step back. There is also something deeper happening that you cannot yet see. As this connection shifts, another alignment is preparing to enter your life. A person who celebrates your growth without insecurity. A voice that supports your expansion without trying to control it. A connection that feels peaceful instead of tense. But you cannot receive that fully while holding on to distorted trust. Heaven is not subtracting from you to leave you empty. Heaven is creating space for alignment. You may soon face a moment where the truth becomes undeniable. Perhaps someone will mention something they were told about you. Perhaps you will see evidence of a conversation you were excluded from. Perhaps the person themselves will slip and reveal knowledge they should not have had. When that moment arrives, breathe before you speak. Power is not in explosive reaction. Power is in calm awareness. Ask simple questions. Observe their response. Truth becomes visible in how someone handles exposure. If they choose honesty, there is room for restoration. If they choose defensiveness and manipulation, there is your answer. Do not argue with someone who fears losing control. Silence speaks louder than emotional debate. And understand this clearly: your destiny does not depend on their approval. It never did. The secret I carried was heavy because I knew it would mark a turning point. And turning points are rarely comfortable. They require courage. They require maturity. They require surrender to divine wisdom over personal emotion. You are capable of this. In fact, this situation is proof of your growth. A year ago, you might have reacted impulsively. Today, you are processing thoughtfully. That is evolution. I declare over you that no hidden action will sabotage your calling. No quiet conversation will cancel your promotion. No insecure decision will block your favor. The one who tried to adjust your path behind your back underestimated the protection over your life. And soon, you will see how even this was used to strengthen you. Hold steady. Guard your peace. Watch carefully, because the next unfolding will not only confirm the betrayal, it will reveal the blessing that was forming behind it all along. Brave spirit, there is something deeper stirring beneath everything you have just discovered. You have been focusing on what was done behind your back, and rightly so. But now heaven is inviting you to look at the pattern, not just the incident. Because this was not the first subtle sign. It was simply the first one you are fully conscious of. I, Archangel Michael, have observed your journey closely. There have been moments when you felt slightly diminished after conversations with this person. Times when your excitement was met with lukewarm responses. Occasions when your victories were redirected into discussions about their struggles. You told yourself they were just having a hard time. You excused the imbalance. But imbalance repeated becomes intention. The action done behind your back was not an isolated event born in a single moment of weakness. It was the overflow of a mindset that had been forming quietly. A mindset that feared your growth. A mindset that compared instead of celebrated. A mindset that felt safer when you were uncertain rather than confident. And here is the truth that may sting but will set you free. You outgrew a dynamic they were comfortable with. Growth changes relationship equations. When you evolve, those who benefited from your smaller self must either evolve with you or resist you. They chose resistance, but in subtle form. Not open opposition, but quiet interference. Not loud confrontation, but strategic positioning. Yet they miscalculated something powerful. They underestimated the covering over your life. The reason the attempt behind your back did not succeed is because your steps are ordered beyond human manipulation. What is written for you cannot be erased by private conversations. What is assigned to you cannot be transferred by hidden agreements. Still, this revelation requires courage on your part. Because now you must decide whether you will continue pretending nothing shifted, or whether you will adjust accordingly. Adjustment does not mean hostility. It means wisdom. You may begin limiting how much you share. You may choose to delay revealing certain plans until they are secure. You may observe before involving. These are not acts of revenge. They are acts of protection. There is also something happening within the other person right now. They sense your awareness. Even if you have not said a word, they feel the energetic shift. And when people feel they are losing influence, They often attempt one of two things. They either increase charm to regain control, or they create subtle distance to protect themselves from exposure. Watch which pattern unfolds. If they suddenly become unusually supportive, pay attention to consistency. True change sustains itself. Manipulation fades when it no longer serves purpose. If they grow distant, do not chase. Let silence reveal truth. I must also tell you something that will anchor your heart. Not everyone who betrays you hates you. Sometimes they simply love their own comfort more than they love your growth. This does not excuse the action, but it clarifies the motive. Their insecurity spoke louder than their loyalty. But your response will speak louder than their insecurity. You are being elevated into a season where discernment will become one of your greatest strengths. The situation is training you. It is sharpening your spiritual perception. It is teaching you to read energy, not just words. It is reminding you that peace is more important than proximity. Soon, you will notice a clear separation in your circle. Some relationships will feel lighter and stronger. Others will feel strained and fragile. This is not coincidence. It is alignment at work. The person who acted behind your back may attempt to test your awareness. They might casually reference something you never told them directly, revealing access they should not have had. They may try to measure whether you know. Take calm in those moments. A simple pause can speak volumes. You do not need dramatic confrontation to reclaim your power. Your power returns the moment you stop oversharing with those who mishandle your trust. And here is the blessing hidden within this discomfort. You are learning to trust God more than personalities. You are learning that human loyalty is valuable, but divine guidance is essential. You are learning that intuition is a gift, not imagination. The secret I carried was never meant to create division in your heart. It was meant to reposition you, because something greater is approaching. There is an opportunity, a door, a shift in status that requires emotional maturity. If you had entered that space still unaware of hidden resistance, the impact would have been heavier. And now you are prepared. Now you are alert. Now you are stronger. What was done behind your back will not define your future. It will refine it. You are not losing. You are leveling up. And as this unfolds further, you will see that what felt like betrayal was actually a filter. A divine filter separating who can walk with you into your next season and who must remain in the last one. Stand firm. Stay observant. Guard your peace without losing your kindness. Because what comes next will not only confirm everything, it will also reveal who is truly assigned to walk beside you when your elevation becomes visible to all. Steadfast soul, the moment has come to understand the ripple effect of what was done in secret. Until now, you have been looking at the action itself. But actions carry consequences that stretch beyond the original intent. The quiet decision made behind your back did not just attempt to shift an opportunity. It revealed a fracture in alignment. And fractures, if ignored, expand. I, Archangel Michael, have been watching how this has affected you internally. You may not have spoken about it, but something inside you has been unsettled. A subtle questioning, a slight withdrawal, a protective instinct awakening. This is not weakness. This is recalibration. When trust is disturbed, your spirit recalibrates to protect your destiny. The person who acted behind your back thought they were adjusting a circumstance. They did not realize they were triggering a divine separation process. Because when someone interferes with what God is building in your life, even in small ways, heaven begins to rearrange positions. You may soon notice that interactions with this person feel different. Conversations might lack depth. Eye contact might feel heavier. The ease you once shared may feel forced. This is not your imagination. It is the natural result of hidden misalignment surfacing into awareness. But here is what you must guard against. Do not allow suspicion to dominate your personality. Discernment is sharp and calm. Suspicion is restless and loud. You are being trained in discernment. Here is something else happening behind the scenes. The very opportunity they tried to influence is being strengthened instead of weakened. What they attempted to redirect is being reinforced. God has a way of multiplying what others try to minimize. The delay you feared is turning into preparation time. And during this preparation, your character is being refined. You are learning silence. You are learning observation. You are learning restraint. These qualities are not accidental. They are prerequisites for the elevation approaching you. The higher you rise, the more you must master emotional discipline. Soon, you may face a subtle test. The person who acted behind your back might attempt to draw information from you again. They may ask about your next move. They may pretend enthusiasm about your plans. This will be your moment to apply wisdom. Share less. Observe more. You do not owe unlimited access to anyone. And as you navigate this shift, I ask you to do something intentional. Engage with this message actively. If you recognize the patterns being described, make your agreement visible. Like this message so that truth can travel further. Share it with someone who had been sensing hidden interference but could not name it. Write in the comments what your spirit is discerning right now. When you subscribe and become part of this mission, you are choosing ongoing clarity over confusion. Join this community that refuses to walk blindly. Step into membership if you feel called, and stand with this movement of awareness and spiritual growth. Because what you are experiencing is not rare. Many are walking through silent sabotage, but few have the courage to face it calmly. Now hear this carefully. The ripple effect of their action is about to circle back to them, not as punishment, but as exposure. When someone plants seeds of doubt about you, they often forget that those same seeds reveal their own insecurity. The very conversations meant to reduce you will begin to question them. Truth has a way of reversing momentum. You will not need to defend yourself loudly. Your consistency will speak. Your integrity will speak. Your calm reaction will speak. And those who truly observe will notice the contrast between your stability and their subtle instability. This is why you must remain composed. If you react emotionally, it muddles clarity. If you stay grounded, it sharpens contrast. I declare over you that no hidden agreement will prosper against your calling. No quiet whisper will override your assignment. No behind-the-scenes maneuver will cancel what heaven has decreed. What was done in secret is already weakening, and something else is becoming clear. The space created by this exposure is inviting stronger alliances into your life. People who do not feel threatened by your light. People who do not need to dim you to feel secure. People who see your growth as inspiration, not competition. But you must release attachment to the old dynamic to receive the new alignment. This is the turning point. Do not rush it. Do not dramatize it. Walk through it with dignity. Because very soon, a confirmation will arrive that makes everything undeniable. And when it does, you will realize that what felt like betrayal was actually divine positioning. Hold your peace. Guard your energy. Stay aware. What unfolds next will reveal who was truly standing with you, and who was only standing near you. Warrior of light, you are closer to full confirmation than you realize. Everything up to this moment hath been preparation. The stirring in your spirit, the subtle behavioral shifts, the internal recalibration, all of it has been leading to a moment of undeniable clarity. And that moment is approaching faster than you think. I, Archangel Michael, do not speak in fragments without purpose. When I revealed that the person you trust the most did something behind your back, it was not to leave you suspended in suspicion. It was to prepare you for revelation that will come without your forcing it. There is a divine principle at work here. What is hidden eventually seeks the surface, especially when it interferes with destiny. The person who acted in secrecy believed time would bury their action. They assumed that because you did not confront them immediately, the matter was secure. But they did not account for divine timing. They did not realize that heaven had scheduled exposure in alignment with your readiness. And now, you are ready. In the coming days, you may experience a conversation that feels ordinary on the outside but significant underneath. A detail may slip. A statement may contradict something previously said. A third party may unknowingly reference information you were never meant to know. When this happens, your heart will pause. That pause will be confirmation. Do not ignore it. Do not talk yourself out of it. You have grown too much to keep dismissing your intuition. This is not about catching someone in a trap. It is about witnessing truth unfold naturally. The more you remain calm, the more clearly you will see. Emotional reactions cloud perception. Peace sharpens it. You may also begin to see a shift in how others respond to you. There are individuals who quietly observe the dynamics between you and this person. Some sense to balance but stayed silent out of respect. Once truth surfaces, those silent observers may begin aligning more openly with you. Support will rise where tension once lingered. This is how you know divine rearrangement is taking place. The person who acted behind your back may feel the shift as well. They may sense that their influence is weakening. And when influence fades, insecurity intensifies. Be prepared for subtle attempts to reassert closeness. They might remind you of shared history. They might reference past loyalty. They might appeal to emotional memories. Do not confuse history with alignment. Just because someone was assigned to a chapter does not mean they are assigned to the whole story. There is also a deeper emotional layer you must face. Part of you may still hope that the revelation is incomplete, that perhaps there is a misunderstanding, that maybe you misread the signs. This hope is natural. It reflects your compassionate heart. But compassion must walk alongside truth, not replace it. If the confirmation comes clearly, accept it with maturity. Grieve the version of trust you thought you had, but do not grieve your growth. You are not losing something healthy. You are releasing something misaligned. And here is something profound you must understand. This exposure is happening before your elevation becomes visible to everyone. Imagine if your rise had occurred while hidden sabotage continued beneath the surface. The impact would have been more complex. God, in His mercy, chose to cleanse your circle before your spotlight expands. That is protection, not punishment. I see what is ahead for you. Opportunities that require loyalty around you. Doors that demand integrity from those in your inner circle. Spaces where influence will increase. You cannot carry hidden fractures into those rooms. So heaven is healing the fracture now. You may feel a mixture of strength and sadness. That is normal. Strength comes from clarity. Sadness comes from release. Allow yourself to feel both without shame. But do not dwell in sorrow for too long, because something extraordinary is forming. There is a new alliance preparing to enter your life. Someone whose spirit aligns with yours naturally. Someone who celebrates your success without comparison. Someone who sees your expansion as shared victory, not personal threat. This connection will feel peaceful, not complicated. But first, space must be created. And space is forming now. The person who acted behind your back may eventually realize what they risked. They may attempt apology. If that moment comes, listen carefully to sincerity. True repentance carries humility. Manipulation carries excuses. You will know the difference. And when you stand at that crossroads, remember this entire journey. Remember how your spirit warned you. Remember how truth unfolded without force. Remember how calm observation brought clarity. You are no longer the version of yourself that ignores red flags to preserve comfort. You are evolving. I declare that you will handle the next revelation with wisdom beyond your years. You will not explode. You will not collapse. You will stand grounded, aware, and protected. Because what is being removed is not your support system. It is the illusion of support. And once illusion fades, authentic alignment can finally take its place. Prepare your heart. Confirmation is closer than you think. And when it arrives, you will realize that this was never about betrayal alone. It was about positioning you for a season where only the truly aligned can remain by your side. Chosen vessel, the confirmation you have been sensing is no longer distant. It is unfolding. By now, something has shifted in a way that feels undeniable. A conversation has surfaced. A detail has aligned too precisely. A pattern has repeated one too many times. The quiet discomfort you once questioned has now formed into clarity. This is the moment heaven prepared you for. I, Archangel Michael, told you that what was hidden would not remain buried. And now you see why patience was required. If this truth had arrived earlier, you might have reacted emotionally. If it had arrived later, it might have cost you more. But now, you are steady enough to receive it without losing yourself. The person you trusted most did, in fact, move behind your back. Not loudly, not grammatically, but intentionally enough to matter. The confirmation may not have come through a confession. It may have come through contradiction, through overlapping stories, through information that exposed access you never granted. And in that moment, your heart became still. There is a unique silence that comes when truth settles. It is not chaotic. It is not explosive. It is heavy but clear. You no longer feel confused. You no longer feel unsure. You simply know. That knowing is strength. Now comes the most important phase. Response. You stand at a crossroads between reaction and revelation. Reaction seeks to release emotion immediately. Revelation seeks to move with wisdom. You are being called into revelation. The natural urge may be to confront, to demand explanation, to express the hurt you feel. And while there may be a time for conversation, do not let that conversation be driven by wounded pride. Let it be guided by calm authority. You do not need to prove that you know. You do not need to expose every detail at once. Sometimes the most powerful statement is a subtle shift in access, a quiet boundary, a change in proximity. Energy speaks. When someone realizes their influence has decreased, they begin to reveal their true position. Some respond with humility. Others respond with frustration. Watch closely. Their reaction to your boundary will confirm everything. This situation was never meant to break your ability to trust. It was meant to refine where you place it. Trust is sacred. It must be earned through consistency, not history alone. And here is something you must hear clearly. The betrayal was real, but it was not fatal to your destiny. In fact, it became the very tool God used to strengthen your awareness. The attempt to limit you has now expanded your discernment. The whisper meant to reduce you has increased your resilience. This is divine reversal. You may soon notice that opportunities begin flowing more freely. Conversations open more naturally. Support arrives from unexpected places. That is not coincidence. When hidden resistance is removed, movement accelerates. You are stepping into a clearer atmosphere. The person who acted behind your back will sense that clarity. They may try to restore closeness, sensing that distance is forming. They may attempt to explain without being asked. They may overemphasize loyalty. Listen, but do not surrender your discernment. Forgiveness may be possible, but access must be earned again. There is dignity in quiet strength. There is power in measured response. I want you to understand something even deeper. This exposure is not only about one relationship. It is about preparing you for leadership. Because leadership requires the ability to recognize subtle misalignment before it grows into open sabotage. You are being trained. And as you stand in this awareness, do not isolate yourself. Align with voices that bring clarity and growth. If this message has confirmed what your spirit has been wrestling with, let your agreement be visible. Type "I walk in discernment" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 5821 is now activated over your path. Now listen carefully as I speak this over you. Your peace will not be stolen by hidden actions. Your rise will not be delayed by secret conversations. Your calling will not be canceled by insecure decisions. And as this truth settles, understand that this mission continues because of hearts like yours. When you release support through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a platform. You are fueling light in places where confusion once ruled. The word declares that when you bring your offering to the altar, heaven opens its windows over you. I sense your spirit saying, "I want to stand with truth," and this is your appointed moment to act. Sow into this mission as a prophetic response to clarity. Let your giving become a seed that multiplies wisdom across nations. I declare that every soul you help reach will become part of your eternal harvest. Do not delay your obedience. Release your support now and step fully into alignment. You have crossed the threshold of uncertainty. Now you walk in awareness. And from this point forward, only those who honor your growth will remain close enough to influence your journey. Radiant soul, now that clarity has settled into your spirit, the atmosphere around you is beginning to change. You may not see dramatic shifts overnight, but internally something has stabilized. The confusion is gone. The constant second-guessing has quieted. You are no longer wrestling with uncertainty. You have stepped into awareness, and awareness carries authority. I, Archangel Michael, have watched this transition carefully. The moment you accepted the truth without exploding in emotion, you elevated. Many people receive revelation but lose power in reaction. You did not. You remained composed. And that composure has strengthened your spiritual position more than you realize. There is something unfolding quietly now. The person who acted behind your back feels the distance. Even if you have not spoken about it, even if you have maintained politeness, they sense that something is different. Your energy is no longer as accessible. Your vulnerability is no longer as open. Your enthusiasm is no longer as freely shared. This is not punishment. This is wisdom. When access changes, dynamics change. And when dynamics change, truth surfaces even faster. You may begin noticing that their tone carries a subtle uncertainty. They may test your reactions with small statements. They may watch your expressions more closely. They are trying to measure what you know without asking directly. Remain calm. There is strength in silence that unsettles manipulation. When you do not rush to explain yourself, when you do not rush to reassure, when you do not rush to fill silence, the other person is left to confront their own discomfort. And discomfort reveals conscience. There is also another layer developing behind the scenes. The opportunity that was once influenced is now returning in a stronger form. What was whispered against you has begun losing credibility. What was slightly delayed is reappearing with greater clarity. You may soon receive unexpected affirmation. Someone may commend your consistency. An opportunity may resurface without your effort. A door you thought was closing may reopen with better conditions. This is not luck. This is divine correction. When someone tries to redirect your path in secrecy, heaven often responds by making your path even clearer. But here is what you must guard now. Pride is easy once truth is confirmed and momentum shifts back in your favor. To feel superior. It is easy to think, I knew it, or to subtly display awareness in a way that embarrasses the other person. Resist that temptation. Your power lies in quiet dignity. You are not being elevated to prove someone wrong. You are being elevated to fulfill purpose. The person who acted behind your back may eventually face the natural consequences of their choice. Not because you retaliated, but because integrity sustains influence, and insecurity weakens it. Over time, patterns reveal themselves to others. You will not need to expose them publicly. Character exposes itself. And as this unfolds, your emotional energy is being freed. You are no longer investing as heavily in protecting an illusion. That energy is returning to you. You may feel lighter, more focused, or more in. This is what happens when hidden tension dissolves. I must also prepare you for one more possibility. There may come a moment when this person attempts a sincere conversation. Not defensive, not manipulative, but honest. If that happens, listen carefully. People can grow. People can confront their insecurity and choose maturity. Discern whether the apology, if offered, carries humility or self-preservation. If humility is present, restoration may be possible, but with boundaries. If self-preservation dominates, distance will remain necessary. You are no longer obligated to ignore red flags to maintain peace. True peace does not require self-betrayal. And as you stand in this season, something powerful is aligning ahead. There is a breakthrough connected to this entire situation. Not just relational clarity, but personal expansion. The courage you have shown internally is preparing you for greater responsibility externally. Because discernment is a leadership quality, you are becoming someone who observes before trusting deeply. Someone who listens to intuition without guilt. Someone who values alignment over attachment. The transformation is priceless. The secret I held at the beginning of this journey was never meant to create drama in your life. It was meant to create depth. Depth in perseverance. Depth in wisdom. Depth in emotional strength. You are no longer the same person who would dismiss subtle discomfort just to preserve familiarity. You have grown. And growth changes everything. Stay steady. Stay humble. Stay aware. Because what is coming next will not only affirm your maturity, it will position you in a space where the right alliances, the right opportunities, and the right confirmations meet you without resistance. Your path is clearing. And this time, you are walking it with open eyes. Beloved guardian of your own destiny, you are now standing in a place of quiet authority. What once felt uncertain has become clear. What once felt confusing now feels confirmed. But this stage is not about reflection alone. It is about action. Not loud action, not dramatic action, but intentional alignment. I, Archangel Michael, speak to you now as one who has watched your restraint. You did not allow anger to control you. You did not allow wounded pride to dictate your response. And because of that, you are now positioned to move wisely. The person who acted behind your back has sensed the shift fully by now. They understand that access is no longer the same. They may not admit it openly, but they feel it. And that awareness creates pressure. Pressure reveals character. You might notice that they are either attempting to regain influence through increased involvement, or slowly withdrawing because they sense they no longer have the same control. Either response confirms what you already know. Influence built on insecurity cannot survive when discernment enters the room. But here is where your maturity will be tested again. You must decide how much access remains. Not emotionally, but strategically. Access is a privilege, not a right. Just because someone was once close does not mean they are entitled to remain in the same position. This is not cruelty. This is stewardship. Your time, your energy, your plans, your vulnerabilities, these are sacred resources, and you are learning to guard them with wisdom. Soon, there may be a moment where you are given an opportunity that once would have been shared immediately with this person. A breakthrough, a conversation, a door opening. In that moment, pause. Notice your instinct. If your spirit hesitates, honor that hesitation. Intuition is often divine protection speaking quietly. There is also something shifting in your external environment. The subtle resistance that once felt present around you is weakening. Conversations flow more easily. Ideas gain traction more quickly. Support appears without strain. This is what happens when hidden interference is removed from your inner circle. Clarity creates momentum. And as momentum builds, you must remain anchored in humility. Do not let success tempt you to prove anything. You are not rising to demonstrate someone's mistake. You are rising because it was always win. I need you to do something important at this stage. Engage actively with this movement of clarity. If this message continues to resonate with your journey, make your presence known. Like this video so that more people trapped in silent manipulation can receive awareness. Share it with someone who is walking through confusion and needs confirmation. Write in the comments what shift you have experienced since embracing discernment. Subscribe and stand firmly within this growing community of awakened souls. If you feel led, join as a member and walk deeper with this mission. Your engagement strengthens the reach of truth. And listen carefully to this. What unfolds next will validate your restraint. There will be a visible distinction between your path and theirs. While you move forward with increasing stability, they may struggle to maintain the same level of influence. Not because you sabotage them, but because insecurity eventually weakens its own foundation. You may witness subtle exposure. Others may begin noticing inconsistencies you once overlooked. Conversations may circulate that gently question their reliability. You do not need to participate. Silence will protect your dignity. And here is a profound truth. The very act that was meant to reduce your progress has now strengthened your resilience. You are sharp. You are calmer. You are more observant. You no longer hand over access without discernment. That transformation alone is worth the discomfort you endured. There is also a new connection approaching your life. Not as a replacement driven by bitterness, but as alignment born from growth. This person will not require you to shrink. They will not subtly compete. They will not operate in secrecy. The energy will feel balanced. But do not rush to fill space. Let alignment arrive naturally. The greatest victory here is not exposure. It is evolution. You have evolved beyond blind trust. You have evolved beyond emotional reaction. You have evolved into strategic awareness. And that awareness will serve you far beyond this situation. I declare over you that your future relationships will be built on transparency. Your future opportunities will be surrounded by integrity. Your future environment will reflect the wisdom you have gained. Stand firm in who you have become, because the next unfolding will not test your awareness. It will reward it. And when that reward becomes visible, you will understand that nothing done behind your back had the power to stand against what was written over your life. Steady heart, you have crossed a threshold that many never reach. At the beginning of this journey, you were uncertain. You sensed something but doubted yourself. You questioned your intuition. You wrestled with whether you were overthinking or truly perceiving misalignment. Now you stand in a completely different place. You are not confused anymore. You are aware. I, Archangel Michael, have watched your transformation with precision. The secret I held was not only about what someone did behind your back. It was about who you were becoming through the discovery. And now the shift is undeniable. You may have already witnessed the first visible consequences of their action. Not dramatic downfall, not loud collapse, but subtle repositioning. Influence slightly reduced, credibility gently questioned, energy no longer flowing as smoothly around them. This is not revenge. This is divine balance. When someone operates in hidden insecurity, they slowly weaken their own structure. Meanwhile, you are stabilizing. You are sleeping more peacefully, thinking more clearly, moving more strategically. There is less emotional turbulence inside you. The constant need to decode subtle tension is gone. That mental space has been freed. And with that freedom, clarity expands. You are beginning to see areas of your life that need upgrading. Not because of betrayal, but because of growth. Your standards are rising. Your expectations are refining. You are no longer willing to accept partial alignment just to maintain comfort. This is maturity. There may come a moment very soon when the person who acted behind your back senses that reconciliation is slipping away. They may approach you with an attempt to repair, or they may attempt to frame their action as misunderstanding. Listen carefully if that moment comes. Truth carries ownership. Manipulation carries justification. If they speak from humility, you will feel it. There will be no blame shifting, no subtle attempt to minimize what happened, just acknowledgement and responsibility. That is the only foundation on which trust can ever be rebuilt. But even if restoration is possible, it will not look like it once did. You are not the same. And this is what matters most. The situation that once threatened your peace has now strengthened your discernment. The act done behind your back has become the catalyst for internal upgrade. You have learned to pause before reacting, to observe before trusting, to align before attaching. These lessons will serve you in places far beyond this relationship. Because elevation is closer than you think, there is an opportunity forming that requires emotional intelligence, a position that demands awareness of subtle energy, a connection that will flourish only if you maintain boundaries with wisdom. You are being prepared for that space right now. Imagine entering your next season still blind to hidden misalignment. Imagine carrying unquestioned loyalty into environments that require strategic clarity. This exposure happened before your expansion for a reason. You were spared future complication. And now, as you stand in this refined state, something beautiful is occurring. Your confidence is no longer dependent on external affirmation. It is anchored in internal certainty. You trust your perception. You trust your instincts. You trust divine guidance. That is power. The person who acted behind your back may remain in your life in a different capacity, or they may drift naturally as alignment fades. Either outcome will not destabilize you, because your foundation is no longer built on proximity. It is built on discernment. You may look back soon and realize that this was the moment everything shifted. Not outwardly at first, but internally. And internal shifts create external results. I declare over you that your future will not be shaped by hidden interference. Your circle will grow smaller but stronger. Your opportunities will grow clearer and cleaner. Your influence will grow without hidden resistance attached to it. There is peace in knowing, and that peace is now yours. As you prepare for what comes next, remember this journey. Remember the discomfort. Remember the awakening. Remember the strength you discovered in yourself. Because the final unfolding will not bring chaos. It will bring closure. And with closure will come confirmation that what was revealed was not meant to wound you, but to position you. Stand firm in your growth. The last layer of this message is approaching, and it will seal everything you have learned into a new level of authority over your own path. My beloved child of destiny, this is the sealing of the matter. You began this journey with a warning, a revelation that someone you trusted moved behind your back. At first, it felt heavy. Then it felt clarifying. Now it feels complete. I, Archangel Michael, speak to you in this final unfolding with authority and peace. What was hidden has been revealed. What was uncertain has been confirmed. What was fragile has been strengthened. And most importantly, you have changed. The true secret was never just about their action. It was about your awakening. You were never meant to remain in a place where loyalty was one-sided and access was unguarded. You were never meant to build your next season on blind trust. Heaven allowed the exposure not to harm you, but to fortify you. Look at yourself now. You are calmer than before, sharper than before, less reactive, more discerning. You do not overshare like you once did. You do not ignore discomfort like you once did. You do not cling to history at the expense of alignment. That is growth. The person who acted behind your back may still orbit your life in some way, or they may have drifted into distance. Either outcome no longer controls your emotions, because your stability is no longer dependent on their consistency. This is freedom. There is a final truth you must embrace fully. What they attempted did not delay your destiny. It refined your readiness for it. If anything, the resistance revealed how close you are to expansion. The insecurity they felt was a reaction to the light rising within you. You intimidated what was not secure, and that is not something to apologize for. Soon, you will step into a new environment, whether relational, professional, or spiritual, where your discernment will protect you effortlessly. You will sense alignment quickly. You will recognize misalignment early. You will move with wisdom that feels natural rather than forced. That is the reward of this lesson. You are no longer naive about loyalty. You are no longer careless with access. You are no longer emotionally entangled in dynamics that drain you. You are aligned, and alignment attracts elevation. The betrayal that once felt like a threat has become a testimony of protection. The whisper that once attempted to reduce you has become proof that your growth was visible. The secret that was hidden has now served its purpose. Nothing more needs to be uncovered. Nothing more needs to be proven. This chapter closes not with conflict, but with clarity. Take a deep breath and feel the difference inside you. That stillness is strength. That quiet confidence is authority. That calm awareness is wisdom earned. Type "I walk in divine authority" in the comments if you receive this sealing word. Blessing code 9090 is now released over your life. And now hear this as a final charge. This message did not reach you by accident. It reached you because heaven permitted truth to flow through this space. When you respond with action, you become part of that flow. The word declares, "Give, and it will be given unto you." And this is not distant scripture. It is a living invitation over your life right now. I sense you saying, "I want to help others awaken like I did," and this is your moment to move. So into this mission through super thanks, step into membership, or release your seed through the PayPal link in the description. Let your giving become oil that keeps this lamp burning for souls still walking in confusion. As you plant into this ground, I declare that doors will open, protection will increase, and favor will surround you. Do not delay this obedience. Act now and seal your alignment with the work God is advancing here. The secret has been revealed. Your discernment hath been sharpened. Your destiny remains untouched. Walk forward with courage, with wisdom, and with divine authority over every step.